Rainbow was back with her friends, including Rarity, who was still out cold. They all searched for a way out of the prison, but had no luck. They looked up and down the B sector's long, dimmed corridors that now smelled like the rotten corpses' flesh and blood. Rainbow and the others walked by, but something stopped Rainbow, dead in her tracks like a statue. Shivers went up Rainbow's spine as she eyed the work of her possessed soul, not believing that she had done this. Her eyes looked at the two bodies with sorrow and pity for what she had done to them. "Rainbow, are you okay?" Twilight asked in a concerned tone of voice. Rainbow didn't answer. She was too horrified by the crime she had committed. Twilight repeated herself. "Rainbow, are you okay?" This time, Rainbow responded in a scary tone. Yeah, I'm just scared." There was a slight hint of sadness in her voice. "Can we please go on, Twilight?" Rainbow's voice sounded as though she was near fainting by the sight of blood and gore she was staring at. Without a response, they all continued onward, Rarity on Applejack's back. They continued down the corridor, which led them to an even darker corridor. The whole section of cells were dimmed and darkened due to the current power outage inside the prison. Just the feeling of being there made all the ponies cringe as the cold air that swept through each of their coats. The foulness in the air made it even more horrid as they took another step after the other. "All right, y'all. Just stay close and we should be fine." Applejack's voice was slowly cutting the silence by Rainbow's whispering and moaning. "Ow!" Rainbow clutched her chest with her hoof at the pain that surrounded her heart, with a burning sensation that felt like a knife had slowly pierced it. "Rainbow, you okay?" Applejack placed a hoof on Rainbow's shoulder and looked into Rainbow's magenta eyes with her large emerald eyes. I'll be fine. I'm just hurt by what I did to them guards. Don't worry about me." Rainbow didn't even look up to Applejack. She just clutched to her chest and whimpered. "Come on, Rainbow. You gotta keep moving. It'll get even worse if you don't move around." Applejack gave her a reassuring smile. Rainbow returned the smile. "Yeah, I guess you're right. Let's keep moving." The group of friends carried on down the hallway, still in concern of Rainbow Dash's current condition. The deeper they went in, the more the smell turned foul. It smelled almost the same as the two now rotting corpses of the guards, but was somehow even stronger and more putrid. "Ugh! What's that smell?" Twilight said under her breath. "I don't know, Twi, but..." Applejack began, but was interrupted. It's Rainbow stuttered. "It's the smell of the doctor's corpse," Rainbow said in a quiet tone. Don't you remember? I took his eye out." Rainbow reminded every pony quietly. Her friends looked at her with the same sadness she was being suffocated by. They could all tell what she was feeling. They were her friends, and would do whatever they could to get her back to herself, and back to the way things used to be. But it didn't look like it would do that in the end. The thoughts of their nightmares and memories here would still be burned into their minds, like a tattoo on the skin. They all saw a tear sweep its way down Rainbow's cyan cheek and drop to the floor with a plop. Fluttershy was walking next to Rainbow, hoping to make her feel safe and comfortable as she did so. Rainbow Dash?" Fluttershy looked to Rainbow. Rainbow lifted her head slightly, without looking back at her friend. "What? What happened to you?" Fluttershy kept her expression the same. Rainbow continued to look at the floor, trying not to make eye contact as they trotted along. "Before I was possessed by the She paused there and gulped. The demon that now has control over my soul. I was having horrific nightmares of Pinkie Pie torturing me and butchering me with knives and such to harvest my organs, and Rainbow's heart pounded faster and faster as she went pale. Fluttershy looked at her now pale friend, eyes wider than before, with concern at what Rainbow had said to her. She was cutting my organs for cupcakes. She wanted to kill me to make cupcakes for herself and her friends, with my heart as the essence of the flavoring. I saw it all as if it were real. It was just so... A track of tears followed down Rainbow's face, making her cheeks become wet. Fluttershy was sorry that she had gone through the tormenting every night. Fluttershy couldn't bear to see a friend go through anything like that. Much like how Rainbow Dash couldn't stand losing at sports or the Iron Pony contest. Fluttershy? Rainbow stopped looking at the floor and gazed towards Fluttershy's eyes, that now formed a tear. Yes, Rainbow? I won't leave you again. I promise. Rainbow gave a weak grin through all her lower strength and pain she was feeling. I won't leave you either, Dashy. Fluttershy gladly returned the smile. The group of friends finally got to the bend in the corridor. What they saw was a shock to their eyes. The ceiling point of the door was still open, but had the warden and his guards next to it. There was at least 6 guards, armed and vicious. They all gasped aloud. Rarity fell off Applejack's back and regained consciousness after landing. Oh, my head. Rarity's voice was pained by the hard awakening. Ah! Rarity screamed upon seeing a guard holding a gun firmly next to her head. All of them froze. Rainbow just gave her the same look at the guards and the warden with stone-cold eyes. She knew what they were going to say, and it wasn't going to end well at all. The warden was the first to speak. Miss Dash, he began, you escaped care and killed the doctor, along with 2 of my best guards. These criminal offenses would extend your sentence, but that's not what's going to happen. The eyes on all of her friends turned into a look of confusion at what the warden meant. They hoped he didn't mean, Miss Dash, you are sentenced to execution later today. You are clearly too dangerous to keep in prison walls and the land of Equestria. Guards, seize her! With the command, the warden said, the personal guards didn't hesitate to grab Rainbow Dash, guns still in hand. Rainbow didn't move. She remained still as a stone, and kept her hard look on all the guards. As the guard reached out to grab her by the mane, she let out a horrific snarl and growl, and bit the guard's hoof, causing it to bleed. The bite wound was deep, and caused the guard to let out a scream of pain as he held the bite mark, trying to stop the blood. With all his pain, he dropped his pistol. Unfortunately, it was right next to Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash grabbed the gun off the floor and pointed it at the guard. Rainbow's mouth began to become a flow with drool and blood once more, as she gave a maniacal grin at all the guards and the warden, revealing her blood-red teeth. Come near me, and I'll paint the walls with his brain, she snarled. Her voice was now dark, as it was before. The guards didn't bother to argue or obey the commands Rainbow wanted. Instead, the guards knew better than to back down and opened fire, all bullets focusing on Rainbow. Most of the bullets missed Rainbow as she ran around, trying to dodge them coming towards her. Very few rounds hit her, grazing her cheek and hitting her in the chest and left forehoof. Rainbow screamed in agony after the bullets scratched at her skin with each shot. Eventually, she fell down, blood pouring from her hoof wound. The bullet that hit it, went straight through like nothing. Rainbow collapsed by her friends, preparing for the final blow as she turned back to herself. Her friends knew what she wanted. She wanted to die because she was a danger to them. But danger or not, she was still their friend. Her friends couldn't bear to watch her die in the most painful way, right in front of them. So they all got in front of Rainbow, shielding her from the spray of bullets that was going to end her. This time, for good. "Move out of the way!" the warden demanded. They could all tell he was serious, and wouldn't hesitate to shoot through them, but they didn't care. Their friend was more important than they were, especially in the condition she was in. "No," they all said in unison. "Leave her alone. You are not helping her the way you should. You are making her worse," Twilight said, face red hot with anger at what they were going to do. The guards still came forward, and were about to shoot them all without hesitation. Before anything happened, Twilight used her teleportation spell to beam them all behind where the guards were standing, and locked the door behind them. All of the friends grunted in relief, apart from Rainbow, who was now caked in her own blood. Her mane was splattered with specks of blood in areas, and her hoof was bleeding uncontrollably, leaving a big red stain down by her forehoof. But the worst was her chest. She was losing too much blood from her wounds, and she was bleeding a lot more from her chest than anywhere else. Blood from her chest wound was splattering everywhere around her chest area and down her back legs as she laid down on her back. "Rainbow! No!" They all yelled as they saw Rainbow's eyes slowly close before death's cold embrace.